guys, today I'll be talking to you about animal testing, but before I begin, I'd just like to ask who in this room has a pet at home, like a dog or a cat? Okay. Now, imagine if your pet was forced to live in a tiny wire cage, only to be let out to be prodded by needles, sprayed with toxic chemicals, and tortured. This is the reality for many lab animals living in the United States today. They have to endure this torture every day until they are eventually put down. Now, some of you may think that animal testing is a necessary evil, that we can't test substances any other way to see if they're harmful to human beings. I'm here to tell you that that is not true. Not only is animal testing very cruel, it's also obsolete. These animals need our help. Every day, thousands of lab animals are subjected to unimaginably cruel experiments, such as corrosive eye tests. Now, what corrosive eye tests do, they test the effects of prolonged exposure to certain substances, usually found in cosmetics. The most popular subjects are rabbits, as you can see. And what they do is the rabbit's eyes are flushed with these substances to see if they cause eye irritation, which is relatively harmless and temporary, but usually it causes eye corrosion, which is permanent. It causes bleeding, ulcers, and permanent blindness. And afterward, the subjects are put to death when they're no longer useful. Another very common procedure is called vivisection, and it involves an animal being cut completely open while still alive. And it's used to observe living organs in the animal. And although anesthesia is usually administered in these tests, sometimes in certain cases it will be deemed scientifically necessary that it is not administered, and these animals are not even given painkillers. So they're completely conscious and aware of what is happening to them. This procedure is obviously very cruel and very expensive, but it's also completely unnecessary now, as are many procedures that involve animal testing. Scientists have found that many of these procedures are very ineffective. Animal testing frequently produces false results. For example, penicillin was proven by animal testing to be deadly to humans, while strychnine, which is a toxin found in pesticides, was proven safe to humans, and obviously neither of those things are true. Also, some human diseases that we are testing cures for do not even occur in the animals being tested on. For example, we're trying to find a cure for cancer in mice, but human cancer cells cannot be replicated in a mouse, so we are essentially testing cures for mouse cancer, which, although in trials it may seem effective, it's going to be useless in combating cancer in humans. So it's a well-known fact in the scientific community that animal testing is becoming less and less effective, and it's not even that cost-efficient, because think about it. You need to spend money on animals, you need to keep buying these animals because they keep putting them to death. You need the facilities to house these animals, which costs a lot of money, and you need to feed and maintain the animal's health while you're testing them. So that adds up and becomes very expensive. So scientists are looking into animal-friendly alternatives to animal testing that are also cheaper. For example, there's the in vitro method, which is currently being tested at Harvard University, and it uses organ chips. And what organ chips are, they kind of look like a microchip, except they're laced with human organ cells. And these chips react to substances the same way that a human organ would. They behave the same way that a human organ would, and you can mimic any human organ with these chips, such as lungs, kidneys, whatever you need to do the test on. Now, these chips are very animal-friendly, as they don't involve any living creature being harmed. And they're also more accurate because you're using human cells instead of animal cells, so you'll have a better idea of how it'll affect a person. Another alternative that's gaining a lot of popularity is computer modeling, which we have the technology now to create these complex 3D models of the human body. And instead of using vivisections, we can observe the process of living organs through these simulations. Again, it's less cruel because it doesn't involve any living creature. It's less expensive because you don't need to buy the animals, you just need to run the simulation, and it takes up less room in a lab. And it's much more accurate than vivisections because, again, it involves human physiology instead of animal physiology. There are many, many benefits to eliminating animal testing. Imagine a world where the government allocates more money to good, accurate research that is cruelty-free, rather than wasting time and resources on animal testing, which is very cruel and often yields inaccurate results. We could be that much closer to a cure for cancer if we just accelerate this research by funding the right kind of research. And as a bonus, you can save thousands and thousands of animals from abuse when you end animal testing. The solutions are already available to make life better for humans and animals. How can you help? You can start by trying your best to abstain from companies and products that use animal testing in their research. PETA.com actually has a full list of the companies and products that use animal testing, and also a list of those that don't. So these are a few here, and when you abstain from buying these products, you send a message to these corporations saying that you will not stand for animal testing any longer. And here are some products and companies that don't use animal testing, and in general they tend to be much healthier for you because they don't use harmful chemicals in their manufacturing. There's also the Humane Cosmetics Act, which would prohibit cosmetic products tested on animals from being made or distributed in the United States. The Humane Society has a link on their website where you can sign a petition to pass this legislature, which would end a lot of animal testing in the United States. So the next time you go home to your dog or cat, I want you to think about these lab animals who could live in a happy home with a caring family, but instead have to live their lives out in pain and suffering in these labs. Imagine your pet in such a miserable situation. Things don't need to be this way. Everybody in this room could do their part to help. What will you choose to do?